I don't know if you listened on Wednesday, if you were here with me on Wednesday about that handwriting, that the study that shows that if you write by hand, I may adjust my camera, for 15 minutes every day, it lowers your rate of like getting dementia and decline of brain health. And that even if you have that, you can reverse it. I literally got ready this quick that I'm like, all right, Stefan. So I've been doing that every day. I went back and I've been working on my journaling every morning. And I wonder how much of it is, yes, the motor and the coordination and stuff like that, but I also think it's the processing. A conversation that I've been having with a lot of women recently is everybody feeling so overwhelmed. And I really truly believe that we are overwhelmed because we are on input overload, that our brains are never quiet, and I should go pull up this research. There's some interesting studies about like what happens to your brain when there's no sound, when you're just completely in silence, and how the brain like resets itself. Ooh, that's weird. And so it's really, really interesting. And I've been feeling this, just how many of you guys are feeling this way too? Like just this constant input that we're having to navigate through. And I think it is what is making us exhausted. And I think about this a lot as a business owner, because I feel like one of the reasons my brain is tired is because of the constant marketing. And even just keeping a client's loyalty. So I'll give you an example. Like 20 years ago, when I was, in my business, if I had a client, and let's say, in my direct sales business, and she purchased a mascara from me, and she loved that mascara, she was going to reorder that mascara. She was going to, say, oh, I love this mascara. She was going to be loyal to that mascara. I don't know what. Coughing. I have not been coughing all morning, of course, as soon as I go live. That's really weird. I don't know what's going on there, but she would be loyal to that mascara, right? She would stay with me. She would be like, okay, I love this mascara. Now she might get that mascara, but she's going to hop on Facebook. She's going to hop on Instagram. She's going to, open up whatever, TikTok, and she's going to be inundated with marketing that there's a newer, better mascara, and she should try this mascara instead. And even if I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, so I'm curious if you find this, right? So even if she tries it, so she was like, I always try these new things. These new things pop up. I try these new things, and then they're like crap. They're not even good, but I'm constantly lured by what's new. And so from a business owner, if you want a business, this is where like keeping our clients' attention is so challenging, right? Because we can have a great product, but then 3 seconds later, somebody else is trying to market to them, which we did not have. I mean, I've been in business for 28 years and coaching women how to grow, start, scale, and sustain businesses for 28 years. Like I've seen a lot of, when I started, come on guys, we didn't even have an internet, right? Like, we had the internet, but nobody was shopping on. There was no online websites and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of changes. And so I think about this because as a consumer, but also as a business owner. So as a consumer, I'm thinking like, just stop, leave me alone. I just want to shut my brain off. I don't want to be inundated. As a business owner, I'm thinking, well, how do I market? How do I stay top of mind to my clients without turning them off, without making them feel like I'm just inundated? And it's this constant juggle of like, how many emails is too many emails? How many text messages are too many text messages? I want them to know about what's new. I want them to stay connected with me, even within Hey Girl, You Can, right? Like I have all these people who are on my email list, and like, I want them to know about events that we have going on and networking events that are happening in our CEO clarity method, but how much is too much and how much is not enough and how much will they forget? And so it's this very interesting juggle. And so one of the things that we're doing in Hey Girl, You Can, and guys, I'm so excited about this program because I feel like I wish when I started my business, I had this roadmap. I wish somebody had handed me this method. I had a lot of mentors who taught me how to build my business, but very openly, it was puzzle pieces. It was like, I learned this over here. I learned this over here. I learned this over here. And eventually I kind of put this puzzle together, right? This clarity method, it is clarity from start to finish. It is like meat, potatoes, nuts, bolts, whatever you want to call it. of like how to start, scale, and ultimately sustain your business. And I'm so excited about it because I know how many women this is going to help. And it makes me so sad when I see how many women give up their business. And I see this within our members. I just had 2 members this week. They canceled their membership because their businesses aren't going well and they can't justify, paying for the membership. And what was interesting with one of them, she's a lovely woman, so want her to be successful. And she messaged me and she said, can you send me my log, like the log? I said to her, you can totally cancel your membership. This is where you need to go log in, do this. And she said, do you have the login? And I messaged her back and I was like, girl, I'm dying here. You're canceling your membership that she has found her pricing in because you're cutting expenses because your business isn't doing well enough. But you have this resource that you are not taking advantage of. And guys, I think this is true with so many of us, whether you have a business or not. So many of us have the tools to get what we want. We just are not using them. And I see this over and over again. So when people are like, how people say to me like, well, how come you were successful? How come you were successful in business? Let me tell you, it's not because I should have been successful in business. Okay. I have no business background, never took a business class. Certainly did not start with friends and family, did not have that circle. I moved around a lot. I didn't have a lot of confidence in that, in that arena. So it's not like I had all these things on my side. What I did do very, very well is I took advantage of every piece of training I could get my hands on. I became a student, and I just posted a photo. If you follow me here on the socials, I just posted a photo yesterday. Actually, I was sitting in a coffee shop because I've been trying to get out of my house and work in a coffee shop. How many of you are like that? You're like, I work at home, but I just need to be out sometimes, like around other humans. So I posted a photo that I was taking an online, it was a 1 hour, hour and a half online class with a gentleman who has built, multi-million-dollar network marketing businesses. He's very well known within the profession. And he has a unique perspective as a guy. Like, I've been trained by mostly women. So he has a really unique perspective. I was telling Jack about it last night. But there's always a place to learn. There's always a place to grow. And I think for most people, we stop doing that. I mean, think about it. How many people, and I am curious, so tell me in the chat, like how many of you have taken classes, invested in something outside of high school or college, let's say college, that wasn't required for your job? So I know sometimes people have you have a degree or you have a career or profession where you have to get licensing every year. And so you have to take classes. So I'm a speaker. And so sometimes I've been brought in to speak at conferences for people who are getting their continuing education credits, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on your own, just for your own personal development. You've invested in some kind of class, something that you even paid for, like a workshop, a conference, a class. Because it's wild to me that this is ongoing, that there's this idea that somehow I arrived someplace. And I think because I didn't do that, that's one of the reasons I was always very successful. And I'm going to give you an example. So this Sunday, all of our members in Hey Girl You Can the class that we're working on is I think we're in week 6. And we're really diving deep into marketing, how to attract people into your business, how to get leads, and how to convert those leads. And I would say when I talk to most people with their business, they don't necessarily have a business problem. They have a marketing problem. They have a lead generation problem. And I would say this has been true in my business, at any season, multiple seasons, that when my business feels stuck, it's usually because there's just not enough volume. There's not enough leads. There's not enough people. And learning how to find those right people is a skill. Right? That is a skill. And most people don't understand how to do that. They don't have a system to do that. They don't have a method to do that. They're just kind of throwing some mud and I'm hoping something sticks. I hope if I put stuff out, I'll find a client. And every business has a different way of working that. Now, what's interesting is in my direct sales business, I'm super laser clear. Super laser clear. I know exactly if I do 1, I get 1 and I get 2. Super clear because I've been doing it for a really long time. Now, in our Hey Girl You Can community, I'm still figuring that out. I am still figuring out. I'm kind of still in that stage 1 of okay, if I do 1, how do I get 1 to get 2? Right? And a lot of people in their businesses are still in that stage, but they're expecting that they should be able to be in a different stage. They expect that they should know exactly what to do to get the leads that they want. And then they get frustrated. And what do? They quit. And so we've been talking about this. We actually did a whole week on the difference between stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 in our business, almost all of us think we're in stage 2 when we're really in stage 1. Let me just put that out there. Stage 1 is the majority of people that I work with, but they think they're in stage 2, and that's why they're angry and frustrated and thinking this doesn't work for them. But I'm curious, like when you think about the best version of yourself, whether that's, you move up in the career that you have right now, whether that you want to start your own business or you have a business that you've really wanted to scale, or whether that's just, I just know that there's like a better version of me. I mean, I was talking to a woman earlier this week. Oh, this so hurt my heart, truly, truly. And she's a single mom with a bunch of kids. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional. And she was just kind of like, we were talking about something, and she said, "No, I can't do that." She goes, "I'm just not the priority right now." And it made me stop because I remember the season when I had moved back to New Jersey, broker than a broke person could be. I mean, I literally, guys, rented my U-Haul to move to New Jersey with my tax return. Okay. I had to rebuild my business. I had to rebuild my life. I was emotionally depleted. We had gone through the cancer. I mean, it was a rough time. And I remember that season because I was so focused. My daughter was in the, we were going to the hospital every month for follow-up visits and taking care of her and trying to work, feverishly to try to make money and to get my business back. That anything for me was just at the bottom. And I felt guilty if I did stuff for me. And I also grew up in a home, and our home environments shape us in ways that it's wild, because I always think, oh my God, I wonder how much I've damaged my daughter, right? I grew up in a home where motherhood, the more of a martyr you are, the better mother you are. So that is the messaging I grew up with. If you are a martyr and you put yourself last, that makes you a good mom. And so that's what I believed, right? And there's a lot that went into kind of changing that mindset. But here's an interesting study they found. And I really wish I had read this study when Emily was younger, because I think it would have changed how I raised her. For sure, it would have changed how I raised her. There's a study that shows people, like children, their long-term success in life is directly tied to their mother's happiness. Their mother's happiness. And do you know how many people I talk to? I mean, I talk to women all day, every day, all day long. This is what I do. I coach women, right? How many people are struggling because they don't feel happy? Now, I always go back and I say it's probably not happiness that you're looking for. Happy, by definition, if you go to the word, and we could do a whole other series on this, if you go to the word, means lucky. To be happy was to be lucky, happy-go-lucky. It was like just luck. And you can't really strive for luck, right? Like that's not something that we can achieve, luck. So when we say we want to be happy, we're usually using that word to describe something else. Contentment, peaceful, blissful, joyful. It's usually we actually mean a different word. We're just using the word happy, and that's not actually what we're looking for. But I want you to think about that, like as a woman and as a mom, and if our happiness, if our peace, if our joy, if our contentment, if how we feel about our life is totally going to determine our children's long-term success, how many of us would parent differently? How many of us would live our lives differently? What kind of different choices would we make with that information? It's just, I remember being like, whoa. And I missed the boat on it. I didn't know about that until after my daughter was 18. I missed the boat on that. And I would have focused more on what I needed to do to be filled with joy and peace and happiness and all of that, because I would want my daughter to have that if I knew that that was going to be that tied to it. Instead of thinking her happiness is more important, other people's happiness is more important, my responsibilities and obligations are more important, and I'm not the priority. Because that's what I thought. So if you think that, I'm here to tell you, I want to give you permission that you don't actually need. You never need permission for anything, but sometimes we think we do. Go do something that makes you blissful, joyful, peaceful, happy, content, whatever you are looking for, because you do deserve that. You do deserve that. Last night We had a fabulous event with my team. I was so proud of them. I was so proud of them. We had such a fantastic event. I will tell you, our goal was to have 100 women on. When I said that, I almost got a little sick because I was like, we've never done anything like that big. And we did not hit that goal. We did not even come half. We had 45 people. Our goal was 100. But here's what I have to say. That was more people that we've had on an event with just my team in a very long time. I was so proud of these women. I was so proud about how they showed up. And so if you were on there as a guest, thank you so much. We had such a fantastic group. And it was a short event. The whole thing start to finish was 35 minutes. And that was 2 events. One was 15 minutes and one was like 15, 20 minutes. But one of the women who spoke, we had a couple of guest speakers at the end, and these were women on my team, sharing why they love their businesses. And it's interesting. It was really interesting because most people start a business. I did, at least. Most people start because they want to make money, right? That's not always why people stay in businesses. And particularly the women who spoke last night, not one of them stayed in business for that reason. And what was interesting to me is that one of the women who spoke, who actually was just recently recognized at one of our regional conferences for #1 in sales. She's got an amazing client base. She's so good with her customers. She has incredible integrity. She leads with she's a powerful leader. I very, very much admire her. She's one of those people who, even no matter what's going on in her life, this is what I admire about her. No matter what's going on in her life, the hurricane that's going on in her life, she's always so positive. She very rarely complains about that. And she's had multiple health issues, and she takes care of her grandkids and takes care of an aging parent. I mean, she's got a lot on her plate. She has the most positive attitude. I always think, I just want to be like you. I hope I am like you when I'm older. She's so fun. And so she was sharing. So this is somebody who clearly her business is generating, a lot of income, right? But she was sharing that it was the confidence that it gave her. It was the relationships and the people that she was meeting and doing something that was out of her comfort zone that she didn't think she'd be able to do. Like, that was what was really cool. She was like, I didn't think I'd be able to do these things. But when you get mentorship, when you get support, when you get a community that believes in you, you start to be able to do things that you didn't think you could do. And we were talking about starting a business and the cost of starting a business, and everybody has different businesses, whatever the cost is, right? And in the direct sales business I have, it's very, very low. And she said, isn't this dollar amount, you are worth that. You are worth that amount. And I loved how she said it, because so many of us think we're not. Our dreams are not worth that investment. Our dreams are not worth that risk, right? Like, our goals and our futures and those things that we think about at night, like, they're not worth spending the whatever it is to go after it. And it doesn't even have to be in a business. Like, maybe you want to be an author and you want to write a book and you want to go to a conference and you want to learn about how to write a book, and the conference is going to cost you money. Do you think that your dream is worth it? I remember years and years ago, she's still a friend with me on Facebook. Maybe she'll see this. Years and years ago, I had this beautiful woman. She joined my team, and it was because she wanted to go to a writer's conference. And I think it was like Maui, and it was thousands of dollars. And her husband was like, we don't have the money for this. So she literally joined my team so that she could make money to go to the conference. I funded her conference, and she quit shortly afterwards. I mean, her goal was to make money for this conference, right? Which I thought was beautiful. I thought was great. I was like, I love that this is a tool to help her get what she wants. And I remember when she got her first book published, and she's had multiple books published since. But every time I see her get a book published or a book review, I get like a heart of like, oh, I got to see that process, because she believed she was worth it, that her dreams were worth it, that she was going to figure out how to do that. And I love that. How many of you guys have seen, there's a saying going around? It's horrible. Like, it's a horrible saying. I feel like a bad person saying this, but it's true. There's like a meme going around that basically, like, a drug addict doesn't wake up in the morning and is like, I'm too broke to get high. Like, they figure it out. So, like, don't let a drug addict basically like outwork you, right? Like, if they can figure it out, you can figure it out. I don't really love that metaphor, but the idea behind it I get. And I was watching this TikTok video, which I actually also don't think should be legal. So I'm just going to say this. I'm surprised this TikTok video is allowed to be legal. But it was this girl, and she is no longer a drug addict. There was a season in her life where she was like actually like on hard drugs. And she's now turned her life around and she's sober. And I always find that like incredibly inspiring and admirable, because I cannot even imagine how hard that is for somebody. And then all of the to rebuild from that. I think it takes incredible self whatever to do that. So I'm very inspired by her, let me say. Okay. So she does this video and she's referencing this concept of like, she goes, you've heard this concept of like a drug addict gets up in the morning and they're going to figure out how to get high even when they're broke. And she's like, let me tell you, I was a drug addict and I was broke. And I'm going to tell you how I found money. And she literally shares like the scheme that they did, where they would like go to one store, buy product, like go to a different store, return it, get gift cards, and then sell the gift cards to like a place that like bought gift cards. And like she explains in detail their entire scam of how they had money, like robbing basically stores and returning products. And I'm thinking, why are we sharing this information? I feel like that maybe should not be legally shared. If you have figured out how to rob stores and do it in a way that doesn't get you caught, maybe not share that. That was just my thought. However, so her thought was like, this is what we did. Like, this is the hustle that we did, that my boyfriend and I did on a regular basis to get high. And it was like, we had to go here and then we had to drive 20, 30 miles to go to this store to be able to return. And then we had to drive all the way back over here and we had to find this dealer. She's like, there was a hustle. And I specifically am using the word hustle, which I don't normally use, because hustle by definition means thief. So if you're always like, I got to hustle, no, you probably don't. It actually means thief. But in this case, it's a good word for it, right? There was a hustle that they were doing. And she's like, and we did that to get high. What are you willing to do for your dreams? What are you willing to do for your goals? What are you willing to just have another weekend go by that you don't do the things that you want to do, that you don't go after that dream that you have, that you just push it aside and push it aside? And I will say, as I'm getting older, I will be 49 in a couple months. And that feels like a really scary number, because it's closer to the 5-1 than it is to the 4-1. And then I'm like, yeah, I can kind of tell my forehead is saying, yeah, Tara, I know. I'm like, I just do not want to do the Botox. But look how much younger I would look. I mean, really, right? Like, wouldn't that be amazing? But then I try to tell myself, I'm like, Tara, you have earned these wisdom. My friend calls them wisdom highlights. You've earned the wisdom highlights and you've earned the wisdom lines, right? And I will say that guy, the Dawson Creek guy who just passed away this week, is the same age as me. And so when I think, oh, I look at myself and I'm getting older and my body doesn't look the same and things are in different places that weren't in different places and stuff doesn't fit in the same way that it fits, I'm like, well, what's the alternative? Thank you. Thank you, Jesus, that I'm still here, right? Like perspective is everything. But I, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing like I have goals and I have dreams and I have things that I still want to create. Like, I have a workbook that I worked with a bunch of child life psychiatrists and child life professionals. That's for children with cancer. It's a workbook. So not the book that I have for parents, but a workbook for kids. And it has been sitting in my shelf now for, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years. I started working on it, right? It was right before the pandemic, and just haven't published it. I need to like go through and actually get all the stuff together and publish it. And I think, what if I die before I get to do that? What if I die before I get to do that? Will somebody else carry on my work and my legacy? Probably not. How many ideas have you had of something that you think, well, maybe one day? How many ideas have you had of something of like you would love to invent? You would love to create? You would love to volunteer for? You would love to experience? Maybe you're like, I've always really wanted to create this nonprofit, or I've really always wanted to go experience this, or I'd love to go travel here. Or, I always thought it would be fun to run this or to be part of this or to write this or whatever it is. Like, I believe we are called to create because we are made in the image of God, and God is the ultimate creator. So this is why when we get these ideas, when we get these wild dreams, when we get these, they're not because they're crazy and wild. It's because that's exactly in your DNA. That's your biology. You were designed and built and knit together in your mother's womb to create. It is not a wild idea. It is not a crazy idea. It's in your DNA that it's saying create, create. So I wonder, what are the things that you are called to create, but you go, nah, somebody else will do it. Yeah, I'm just too busy for that. Or Or who am I? I think the bigger thing I hear women say is, who am I to do that? Who am I to create that? Who am I to think that's possible? Well, why not you? Why not you? Why is somebody else more special, more equipped, more called than you? Biblically, if we look in the Bible, God always used the people who were the least equipped. He used the people who had the least amount to do amazing things. So why not you? Why not you? So as we go into the weekend, Valentine's Day weekend, love weekend. So this is either a good weekend or bad weekend for people. I think that first we need to love God. That is our first commandment. We need to love God, right? And so if you're going to this weekend and you're like, I don't have that love, you do. You have the God, you have the love from God. That love you always have. And that is the ultimate love. God is love. That is the ultimate love, right? And number two, we've been talking a lot in the last 2 weeks about girlfriend time, about the needing for women to connect and for your mental health and having those girls night out. Go find that Galentine. I'm actually hosting a Galentine high tea on Sunday, and I'm going to a Galentine event tonight. Again, this is part of a group that I found on Facebook because I needed to meet people and connect with people, right? So go find some girlfriends and go do some love with them. And if you have a partner that you have a romantic partner with, then I hope you have a fabulous Valentine's Day weekend. With all of that being said, I hope the person outside of God that you love the most is yourself. That you are that priority, that you are important, that you have dreams, not because they're crazy, because they are God inspired. And that if you need that encouragement, if you need that, like, I just don't know, like, DM me. DM me. Let's book a clarity call. Let's get on the phone and talk and clarify your dreams and clarify what would be your next step and what would it take to make those things happen. You can go to my website, not the links, just go to taragonline.com, go under the offers. You can book a clarity call right there. Let's talk. Let's get clear on how you can make that next step happen for you so you can go over after those things. Because if you hang out with me long enough, you've heard me say, if you die, your dreams are going to die with you. And all of us then miss out on that because your dreams are not for you. They are your gift that you're going to give the world. So I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I will see you next Wednesday. So set your alarm. Come join me live. Comment if you're watching the replay. Comment. I do read all the comments. And then come and hang out with me. And if I can support you, this is what I've got going on right now. If you look at the links, we have 2 networking events next week, an in-person one and a virtual one. Sunday night, we're going to be doing our how to develop leads and marketing in your business. If you're not a member of Hey Girl, you can. You have time to sign up. You can become a member and get in on that live with me. I'll be teaching it live and all the handouts. It's going to be an amazing session. And then tomorrow, actually, I never work on Saturdays because it's Sabbath. I'm making an exception for this. My friend Debbie is hosting a silver singles, a girlfriends event, and I actually going to be teaching women how to feel confident with their makeup when it comes to their season. It's like if they're winter, spring, summer, fall, and how to do that. I've got some great gifts for them, and I believe there's still tickets left. So if you are interested, if you live in the Monmouth County area and you want to come to that, send me a DM. I can get you hooked up with tickets. It's going to be a fabulous event. So I'm excited. I got a lot going on, but it's always fun to hang out with you guys. Hey, Myra, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye, everybody.